Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have a film I want to talk about that just came out like last Friday on Shudder. I think it's an exclusive. It's probably going to stay on there if I had to bet. It's called Christmas Bloody Christmas. It came out this year on 2022, of course. And it is like kind of like a slasher, Christmassy slasher type of thing. It's heavily inspired by Terminator, which pretty much is the original movie. The cool thing is that this film came out around the same time that, of course, just the other week we had a film called Violent Night come out. I haven't seen that film yet, but a lot of people reference it kind of being like a Santa Claus Die Hard movie. And that's a pretty cool thing, the fact that that's referencing more of Die Hard as an action movie. This is as a horror film referencing more of Terminator, which was more of a horror film in the first entry of that franchise. So it's kind of cool. This year we're getting a lot of throwback stuff. Now this film is not an 80s movie. It doesn't take place in the 80s, but it has this neon flair to it from the director that I think is pretty cool. It has a lot of those kind of traits to it in a nice way. And the film itself I think is pretty entertaining. I had a really good time with it. I have nitpicks about it. I'll get to that later on in the review, but I want to keep it kind of contained. I don't want to tell you too much. So what is Christmas Bloody Christmas about? Well, you start off the film with kind of a bunch of commercials for Christmas time, and one of those commercials is referencing how now a lot of malls and whatever are going to start getting rid of the Santa Claus in the mall type of thing. You know, you sit on the lap, you take the photo, you have traumatization for years and years after that. It's not really something people popularize, so people want to get rid of that. Instead, they want to replace the human Santa Claus in these stores and malls and whatever with a robot. Yes, an animatronic Santa Claus. And they didn't go out of their way to make like a mask for the Santa Claus actor, which is kind of not fair to him, because he's not a bad actor. It's just the way the robot animatronic thing is supposed to move, it's kind of goofy. It's clearly a person in a costume, their regular old face with a Santa Claus beard attached and all that. It's kind of not fair to that actor, but I feel like with the things that are done in this film, the kind of budget behind this movie, they should have at least given him like a mask or something to kind of, you know, make him not look as goofy most of the time. And when I say the budget behind the film, you really have to watch the entire film to really get what I mean by that. Because if you watch like the first 30 minutes of this film, you're not going to understand why I think they should have had more budget behind this. But anyway, this animatronic Santa Claus thing, as we find out from later on in another commercial in the movie itself on another TV screen the characters happen to be watching, they start to malfunction at some point. And this particular one we watched in this movie goes crazy and starts killing people in the middle of the night on like Christmas Eve or Christmas night, one of those 2 days. I think it's Christmas Eve night. But anyway, we mainly follow an actress, a particular actress. I do want to bring up her name because I think she was really good. I thought she really brought a great performance here. Riley Dandy plays a character named Tori, and she's great. She's a great actress. I mean that. I think all the acting in here is fairly decent, but she's great for kind of an 80s throwback, but takes place nowadays modern movie that has a little bit of sleaziness to it to feel like a 1980s movie, to kind of mimic things like Santa's Sleigh with Goldberg, or to kind of mimic things like Silent Night, Deadly Night. Even in the title, it kind of feels like that kind of title. It knows what it is, and it really loves basking in what it is, and that's a good compliment for a movie like this, because I had a good time with it. It wasn't like a great, excellent, perfect movie, like I said, but I had a good time watching what I saw here. But mainly we follow Tori. Tori is a business owner. She runs like a record store that has like VHS tapes and, you know, albums, that kind of thing, like real albums, like a record. And she is kind of a party girl, but she's kind of just cool. There's a lot of Quentin Tarantino-esque and kind of sometimes Joss Whedon-esque, which is kind of an insult a little bit. There's kind of that kind of dialogue being written for this movie, and a lot of the characters all talk the same. But I do like Tori. And when she's closing down her store that night, before the Santa Claus massacring happens, she and her coworker, who is pretty much just her employee directly, I think his name is like Robbie or something, that actor brought a really good performance here too. I like their bickering, I like their bantering as friends. He has kind of a thing for her, she kind of has this cutesy thing with him, but she really doesn't want to admit to it. I like all that stuff. They go to meet her friend at a toy store that friend works at, and her boyfriend or whatever that guy is. And when they leave hanging out with those guys, the Santa Claus animatronic thing goes nuts and starts killing everybody. And then it kind of goes from door to door in the town and starts trying to kill people. And eventually Tori crosses paths with this thing, and for whatever reason it kind of locks on her mainly and keeps coming after her, where it might suspect she is. Sometimes I don't really understand how it would find out that she's at this location or that location, but a lot of the time it's just chasing after Tori. But for the most part, it's kind of got like a Terminator flair, as you can tell. When I say the animatronic is kind of disappointing, again, I say it's just a guy in a costume, but it's not like a costume, like a mask, and then like a beard pasted onto that mask. No, it's like a guy's face, like a regular old dude's face. That kind of ruins it. When he moves around, they have like these little robotic noises and stuff. I don't really like that either. It's kind of a mess. But I will say this, if you stick with this movie, I really think you'll get a treat out of it. It has some great moments in it, some really cool things, and I could see this being a Christmas cult classic amongst a lot of people, kind of myself included, because I really enjoyed it. I think it's a pretty fun watch for the most part. Definitely above average. Pretty fun. A pretty fun film all around. Everybody's bringing a really fun performance here. Again, that sleaziness is kind of a nature to this movie that I think works really well. Let's see, what else is there to talk about? Characters are good. The writing is mostly fine, I would say. A lot of it seems like improv acting and writing, but, you know, it is what it is. I'll take it. The look of the film is really the surprising thing for me. One of the coolest things I saw in this film was in the opening when we first really meet Tori. She's crossing the road to get to her store, and there's snow falling down at kind of just an angle. And it's so beautiful with all the neon in the film, and the neon on that street, for example. The neon lighting in the film was a very hefty thing that I thought I would only see in European cinema, or Nicholas Winding Refn films at that matter, but what's the difference between the two, you know? And I saw a lot of that in here, and I really love the neon lighting for the film, and that mixed with an excellent direction from an excellent director. From what I can tell, this is the first thing I've ever seen from this guy. I'm looking at his IMDb page. He's great. I really like his stuff. I really like his work here. It's beautiful. It's shot well. It kind of at times feels like it should be a low-budget, direct-to-video type of movie. In this case, direct-to-streaming, but what's the difference, like I said? But a lot of the time, it just has some really good strengths to it that really make this film better than what it deserves to be. Does that make sense? Like, I don't mean that to sound rude. I don't mean it to sound like an insult. But a lot of the time, I feel like this film doesn't deserve the things that are behind it. Which is good. That's a surprise. That surprised me. I think it'll surprise you too if you watch the thing. I think it brings a lot of really cool things to the table that are pretty solid and different. Yeah, I said that, different. Let's talk about the practical effects here. There's not really any CGI. The practical effects are mainly what they stick with for this film. It has a lot of gore. A lot of gore. With that being said, a lot of the gore is not always effective. Quite a bit of it is, but not all of it is. And if you're a big horror fan like myself and you've seen a lot of gory movies, for example, the Silent Night, Deadly Night remake just called Silent Night, I myself really, really love that flick. It's not perfect, but I really like it. I still like it more than this, even though the directing and everything are better for this movie, the budget's better for this movie, but the kills are better there, and the scenarios for that movie are better there for the killings than in this film, in my opinion. Sometimes where this film tries to mimic Terminator too much, it kind of comes to its detriment at some points. And that's kind of a shame, frankly. But the kills are not super creative. They look good. They always look good. I do want to specify on that. Some kills, I don't know if it's because of censorship or whatever. Going straight to streaming, I don't really think that's a threat here. But it kind of seems to me like sometimes you just can't really tell what's going on. You know, just certain shots, like there's one shot of somebody getting killed outside of a car, and we're seeing the picture of it happening through a windshield that has snow falling on it. The windshield wipers wiping and everything kind of ruins what we're looking at and what we're looking for in a slasher movie. It's kind of a bummer. Oh well. There's a lot of other kills you get to see plain as day, and they look good. They always look good. The effects look solid. Again, the lot of the budget in here goes to things like that and pyrotechnics. Yes, I said pyrotechnics. There's quite a few explosions and stuff in this movie, which should kind of surprise you for a slasher film, especially a straight-to-streaming slasher film. Shudder really cared about this. It seems like they nurtured this thing to be a really good Christmassy baby for themselves. I love Shudder a lot from where I've had it for about a month or so. It's great. I love it. Anyway, let's talk about the music. The music is so good. A lot of the dialogue in here, a lot of the acting and the characters themselves are talking about music, like Metallica and things like that, but it's not generic stuff like you would think. It's heavy metal. It's what kind of Christmas music they, as rock fans, think is actually good at Christmas time. There's a lot of discussion on things like that, a lot of cool little things. If you're a metal fan like my friends and I are, Parker and Anthony, we talk about metal all the time. I refer to them quite a bit in my reviews. As we talk about things like that, I learn more and more because a lot of those guys know more about it than I do because I haven't been into it as long as they have. So watching this, seeing a lot of things here, learning a lot of things here, kind of surprised me as well. The whole soundtrack is not like heavy metal music or anything. You have a little bit of like synthwave type stuff, not always, but just there enough to kind of complement that 80s aesthetic, that European aesthetic to this movie. It all blends really well. I think the music might be one of the best things, one of my favorite things about it. Christmas Bloody Christmas has a lot to offer. It is not an amazing film. Like I said, I really wish they had put some kind of thing on the Santa Claus actor's face, like some kind of mask, or did what they did later on in the film for the entire movie, something like that, that could have looked good. I think about 90% of it I really love. I think about 90% of it I really love. About 5% of that I really like. There's about 5% I think are just straight up bad, just critiquing, you know? It's entertaining. It's an entertaining film, and it's really all it wants to be. It knows what it is. It's trying to be fun. It tries to have a little bit of a small, kind of contained adventure. And the actors and actresses try to go for that fun too, and I think Tori is a great protagonist. I really love her, and again, that actress really brought a fantastic performance. I had a blast watching this, and when it comes to Christmas Bloody Christmas, if I had to rate this on a 5-star basis, I think I'd give it about, even though I think it's above average, this ranking, rating, whatever, might seem like a little bit of an insult, but I don't mean it to sound as low as it is, because I kind of wanted to go up one more point, but I can't. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was very solid. I thought it was a very enjoyable movie. I don't know how it would hold up on a rewatch. It is something different, but kind of the same at the same time. It has some cool things. It has some lame things. It has some disappointments. It has some really exciting kind of its own iconicness at times. But a lot of the time it's good. It's fun. That's really all that matters to me when it comes to this movie. Anyway, what did you guys think about Christmas Bloody Christmas? I'd love to hear what you have to say down in the comment section down below. I give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I really like it a lot. Really good film. I love a lot of it, like I said. Really enjoyable. Really, really enjoyable. It has some major flaws that bring it down, and I feel like a lot of those flaws show up way earlier than all the really cool stuff that happens later on. And I feel like you're going to lose a lot of audience members until they really get begged or had a gun held to their head by their friends to sit through the whole movie, to really find the appreciation towards the end of the film. There's some really good moments, and I'll tell you too, there's a couple of moments that actually put chills down my spine because of how the editing was utilized or how the music was utilized. Really cool stuff. I really liked all that. Anyway, what did you think about this crazy, weird little movie this year? This is kind of a surprise. I hadn't heard about this. I didn't know it was coming out. It just kind of showed up. I heard people talking about it in different reviews. I didn't listen to them, but I saw that show up in my feed. It seemed like a lot of people were kind of mixed or positive on this, so I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. So this week I thought I would go ahead and have a review for this for you. With that being said, that is my review for Christmas Bloody Christmas. I would love to hear what you think about this film down in the comment section down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know all that down below too. Do you agree with me on my thoughts about it? I'd love to hear that as well. For now, that is my review on Christmas Bloody Christmas. Check it out. It was something different. It was something kind of unique. I haven't really seen a Christmas movie like this, even though I've seen Christmas slashers over and over again. I've seen the Killer Santa Claus thing over and over again. This is pretty different. A little bit. A little bit. Just enough to make it worth watching, you know? Fun film. I kind of want to give it a 4 out of 5, but I can't. I'm going to stick with my 3 out of 5. It might change over the years. I don't know. But I will probably rewatch this at some point, sometime in the future. Anyway, with that being said, Merry Christmas, guys. Put your thoughts and comments down below again. God bless you all, and goodbye.